This seductive beauty was sitting alone on the platform, waiting for the subway. With 6 minutes left until departure, she took out an 8+1 from her bag and took a big gulp. Not being able to handle alcohol very well, she quickly slumped against the wall and fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up again, she found the once noisy subway station completely empty. Panic immediately set in. She had no idea what had happened, so she hurriedly started walking deeper into the station. But oddly enough, the entire hall was deserted as well. It was as if everyone had disappeared into thin air. Confused, the woman walked toward the exit, but to her horror, the metal doors were now firmly locked. No matter how hard she pushed, it was no use. She had no choice but to pull out her phone and try to call for help, but there was no signal at all. Just when she didn't know what to do next, she seemed to hear a subway train pulling into the station. Excited, she ran towards the platform, immediately rushing into one of the cars, without noticing the shadow at the rear of the train that followed her in. The train car was empty, but the woman, not thinking much of it, was only focused on leaving as quickly as possible. Just then, the subway suddenly made a sharp stop. She had no idea what was going on. She quickly jumped up and ran to the driver's cabin to knock on the door, but after knocking for a long time, she still received no response. She peeked through the small window, only to realize the driver had already been killed. In the next moment, the entire train plunged into darkness due to a complete power failure. While she was frozen in place, a light appeared from the rear carriage, most likely the glow from a phone. This meant there was someone else on board. It turned out that the person was her colleague. The man had been using underhanded tactics to create a coincidental encounter, hoping to win her heart. Before the woman could react, he had already pinned her to the ground. Just as he was about to succeed, something suddenly dragged him off the train. Hearing his shrill screams, the woman was terrified. She had no time to think and forced her way through one car after another, finally breaking into the driver's cabin to hide. Before she could catch her breath, a shadow flashed outside the door. At this point, it was clear the man had no intention of letting her go. Soon, Suecia found herself back at the same platform where she had first boarded the subway. The surroundings were still the same, no staff in sight, and all the doors were locked tight. Then, she heard strange noises coming from behind. Holding her breath, she carefully moved forward to investigate. It turned out to be a false alarm. Where there are dogs, there are always people nearby. The most pressing task now was to find the dog's owner. Following the direction where the little creature had disappeared, Suecia discovered a ventilation shaft. Sure enough, inside, she found a couple of homeless people. In a panic, she quickly told them her story and begged them to help her get out. The homeless couple had no reason to refuse, after all, who would turn down money? But just as they had left, the woman was awakened by a strange noise. What awaited her next, as you can imagine, was not good.